Have you ever felt like your body is holding you back after 65? Like the things you once did effortlessly have become a challenge, a memory from the past? You're not alone. Many of us face changes in mobility as we age. It's a normal part of life, but it can still be frustrating and even disheartening to feel like your world is becoming smaller. But what if limited mobility didn't have to limit your life? What if it could be an opportunity to find new ways to move, connect, and thrive? Welcome. We're so happy you're here. This video is for seniors and older adults navigating the beautiful, yet sometimes difficult journey of aging, particularly those experiencing changes in mobility. Whether it's due to arthritis, injury, or simply the natural aging process, we believe growing older isn't about losing the things you love. It's about adapting, exploring new passions, and continuing to live a life full of purpose, connection, and joy. If you're new here, please subscribe to our channel for more empowering and informative content like this. Today, we're going to explore 7 powerful strategies to help you maintain your mobility, improve your balance, and live a fulfilling life, even if you're walking less than you used to. We'll be sharing inspiring stories of individuals from 65 to 85 years old who have faced similar challenges and found creative ways to overcome them. We'll also be offering practical tips, resources, and expert advice to empower you to take charge of your well-being and keep moving forward with confidence and joy. Story number 1, practicing chair-based exercise. Reclaiming movement, reclaiming joy. 68-year-old Maria loved to dance. It was her passion, her way of expressing herself, her connection to the world. But osteoarthritis stole that joy, making even walking a painful and daunting task. She felt like a part of her was fading away, that her life was becoming smaller and smaller. Discouraged and worried about becoming completely immobile, she almost gave up. She thought her dancing days were over, but Maria's doctor suggested chair-based exercises. Skeptical at first, she thought it wouldn't be enough, that it couldn't possibly replace the joy of dancing. But she was wrong. Chair yoga became her lifeline. It wasn't exactly dancing, but it was movement, it was connection, and it was joy rediscovered. It improved her strength, flexibility, and balance without putting excessive strain on her joints. She even started to incorporate some of her old dance moves into the chair exercises, finding a new way to express herself. And perhaps even more importantly, she made new friends in the class, finding a supportive community of people who understood her challenges and celebrated her progress. Story number 2, the power of aquatic exercise. John's hip surgery was successful, but the recovery was long and arduous. At the age of 75, he was terrified of falling. Re-injuring himself, he avoided exercise altogether, which only made him feel weaker, stiffer, and more vulnerable. He felt trapped in his own body. His physical therapist recommended aquatic exercise, but John was hesitant. He couldn't even swim properly anymore, and he was embarrassed about his limitations. But the therapist assured him that even gentle movements in the water could make a significant difference, and they did. The buoyancy of the water eased his pain, and the gentle resistance helped him rebuild his strength. He discovered a sense of freedom he hadn't felt in months, a lightness and ease of movement that he thought he'd lost forever. He wasn't just exercising his body, he was healing his mind and spirit as well. The water became his sanctuary, a place where he could move without fear, reconnect with his body, and rediscover the joy of movement. Story number 3, walking aids, your allies in mobility. Sarah, in her 80s, refused to use a walker. She thought it would make her look old and frail, a symbol of giving up, a public declaration of her limitations. She was determined to manage on her own, even though she knew her balance was shaky and she'd had a few close calls. But one day while walking to the grocery store, she had a near fall. It shook her to her core. She realized that her pride was putting her at risk, that her fear of looking old was preventing her from truly living. She finally accepted the walker, not as a sign of defeat, but as a tool for independence, a key to unlocking her world again. It wasn't about looking old, it was about living her life safely and confidently. The walker gave her the stability she needed to explore her neighborhood again, to visit the local farmer's market, to connect with friends and neighbors, and to feel safe and confident walking to the park. It gave her back her freedom. Story number 4, Strength training for stability. David's legs felt like they were constantly betraying him. At the age of 78, they were getting weaker and weaker, making even simple tasks, like getting up from a chair, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries, a real challenge. He felt like he was losing control over his own body, that his world was shrinking as his mobility decreased. He tried a few exercises he found online, but they were too difficult, and he felt discouraged and even a bit scared of injuring himself. He thought he was destined for a life of increasing immobility. Then his doctor recommended he work with a qualified personal trainer who specialized in working with older adults. The trainer understood his concerns and designed a program specifically for him, starting with very gentle resistance training, using light weights and resistance bands, and gradually increasing the intensity as David got stronger and more confident. The trainer also emphasized proper form and technique to prevent injuries. It wasn't easy. There were days when he felt like giving up, when his muscles ached and his progress seemed slow. But David persevered. He discovered that building strength wasn't just about physical ability, it was about mental resilience too. He learned to celebrate small victories, to appreciate the gradual improvements in his strength and balance. He regained not only his muscle strength, but also his confidence, his sense of control over his own body. He could once again play with his grandchildren, lift heavier objects without struggling, and navigate stairs with ease. He felt stronger, more stable, and more independent than he had in years. He even joined a local hiking group, something he never thought he'd be able to do again. Story number 5. Importance of regular stretching. Eleanor's joints were constantly stiff and achy when she turned 80. She suffered from chronic pain that limited her mobility and made even simple tasks, like getting dressed or bending down to tie her shoes, a struggle. She avoided moving too much, afraid that it would make the pain worse. She thought stretching was only for young people, and that, at her age, it was too late to make a difference. But her doctor explained that stretching was crucial for maintaining flexibility and reducing pain, especially as we age. He recommended a few gentle stretches that she could do at home, and he referred her to a physical therapist who could guide her and teach her proper technique. At first, Eleanor was hesitant. She was afraid of hurting herself, but she started slowly and carefully, and she was amazed at how much better she felt. The stiffness began to ease, the pain became more manageable, and she could move with greater comfort and ease. She could once again bend down to tend her garden, a passion she thought she'd have to give up. She could even enjoy a pain-free walk with her dog, something she hadn't been able to do in years. She realized that stretching wasn't just about physical flexibility, it was about emotional release too, about letting go of the tension and frustration that had been building up in her body for years. Story number 6, balance training. Robert's recent fall shook his confidence. After 72, he was constantly worried about falling again, which made him even more hesitant to move. He felt like he was trapped in a cycle of fear and inactivity, afraid to leave his house alone. His daughter suggested Tai Chi, but Robert was skeptical. He thought it was too slow and gentle to be effective, and he was embarrassed about his lack of coordination. But he decided to give it a try, and he discovered that Tai Chi wasn't just about slow movements. It was about building strength, balance, and coordination. It helped him feel more grounded and stable, both physically and emotionally. He started to feel more confident in his movements, less afraid of falling. He even started leading a Tai Chi class at his local senior center, sharing his newfound passion and helping others improve their balance and well-being. He rediscovered the joy of walking in the park without the constant fear of falling, and he found a supportive community of people who understood his challenges and celebrated his progress. He no longer felt isolated and afraid. He felt connected and empowered. Story number 7. Listen to your body and pace yourself. Margaret was determined to stay active. In her early 70s, she walked every day, but she often pushed herself too hard, ignoring the aches and pains that were her body's way of telling her to slow down. She'd end up feeling exhausted and frustrated, sometimes even injuring herself, which would set her back for days. She realized that staying active wasn't about pushing her limits. It was about finding a sustainable rhythm, a way to move that honored her body's needs. She learned to listen to her body, to recognize the signals of fatigue and pain, and to adjust her activity level accordingly. She started taking shorter, more frequent walks, incorporating rest breaks when needed. She discovered that she enjoyed these shorter walks even more because she could truly savor the experience, appreciate the beauty around her, and connect with friends without the pressure of pushing herself too hard. She learned to be kind to herself, to recognize that rest and recovery were just as important as exercise. She discovered the joy of mindful movement, of being present in her body and appreciating what it could do rather than focusing on what it couldn't. We'd love to hear from you. What's one small step you're taking today to improve your mobility and embrace a more active life? Share your experiences and inspire others in the comments below. Let's recap the 7 things you can do to maintain your mobility and live a fuller life, even if you're walking less. Explore chair-based exercises. Consider aquatic exercise. Embrace walking aids. Incorporate strength training. Stretch regularly. Focus on balance training. Listen to your body and pace yourself. We encourage you to take action today. Explore the resources we've listed in the description below. Talk to your doctor, a physical therapist, or other healthcare professionals. Connect with your local senior center or community center. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. There is support available, and there are many ways to stay active and engaged, no matter your age or abilities. Aging is a journey, not a destination. It's a time for adapting, for discovering new strengths, and for embracing new possibilities. Don't let limited walking limit your life. Take charge of your mobility, connect with your community, and keep moving forward with confidence and joy.